I'm a blended learning coach. For the last 15 years, I've been helping educators implement blended learning into their classrooms. As a coach, I've been helping other coaches help to create that sustainability. I've been working with district leaders to give them the vision about what blended learning looks like. And I've also been working with higher education to really rethink the way that we are teaching even in higher ed. On the screen, you're going to see our website. The website is blendedlearningpd.com. And the Blended Learning PD website is going to walk you through step-by-step of what you can do to get started, from a deployment plan to a blended learning starter kit to even a certification class. Definitely go in and take a look at our website. It is really worth your time. Also, if you go to the very top, it will give you direct links to all of our social media pages. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. We are doing a weekly blend that is going to really help you to figure out how to get started with blended learning. And we will post those videos on our YouTube channel. The reason why we're doing this is just to give you those little tips and tricks along the way, as well as I get to interview some amazing educators and talk about how their blended learning experience has been during the pandemic or even before the pandemic. Today, we are going to be talking about what is blended learning. So we're going to talk about the what. We're going to talk about the why. And we're going to talk about the how. We're going to talk about how to get started. So really understanding, first and foremost, why blended learning. Blended learning allows students to work at their own pace, place, and path. And it's all driven by data. This comes from Michael Horn in the Christensen Institute. He wrote a book that I truly love. I think it's a great way. It gives you that rooted information about what is blended learning. And he talks about pace, place, and path. He also talks about the why we should be doing this and why we should be moving education further along and kind of pick up that speed. I love the steamboat analogy. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. So why? We want to really move to that whole idea of using data to drive our instruction. That differentiation. This is key. A lot of our schools are moving to this differentiation, and blended learning is going to allow us one gateway to get there. What is it? So what it is we're taking the traditional lesson and we're putting it into chunks. We're chunking out our lesson into basically 4 parts. And in those 4 parts, we have small group instruction. That is with the teacher. The teacher is going to pull around students to their table, and they are going to work on that topic in a small group versus a large group. Then, a fourth of the group is going to be working on what we call independent practice. That's that good old-fashioned worksheet where the students are going to be answering questions, going through, figuring out what they need to learn that ties into that small group. The next chunk, or another group of students, will be working on digital content. And digital content is really going in and reteaching the content through some application. Like, for example, Edpuzzle. Okay, Edpuzzle, Khan Academy. That would all be part of this digital content. It mimics what the teacher is talking about. So that's really important. And then last but not least, we call it future ready. So the last activity that the students are going to be going to is a future ready activity where they're going to create, they're going to collaborate, they're going to communicate, and use critical thinking skills. The 4 C's. So what's happening is while the teacher is teaching in a small group, students are going to be working on their own or with a timer, and they're going to be doing that exact same activity, but they're going to be doing it through different learning modalities. They're going to be doing it through visual, auditory, tactile, and kinesthetic learning. Auditory, tactile, visual, kinesthetic. This is great because the students are going to all be able to be going through that lesson and learning in a way that works best for them. When we set up the blended learning environment, we call these studios. This is really key. If you go to our website, you'll see that I talk about studios all the time. What are studios and what do they look like? How do we do it? We came up with 3 phases. We have a phase 1, phase 2, and a phase 3. So what we did was we took the idea of this blended learning process, allowing students to work at their own pace, place, and path, and we came up with a way to gradually build that into the classroom environment through the 3 phases. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually walk you through phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 quickly. Remember, you can go to our website, our YouTube channel, Twitter. It's got all this information there. This is just a quick glimpse about what is blended learning and why you should work with us. All right, give me 1 second and we'll get started. All right, welcome back. Here we go. We're going to be talking about phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 and how to get started. Down here in the corner, I'm also going to be giving you kind of like a little guideline, like a timeline of when you should be doing this. So like starting in September, we're going to go into October, November, December. We're going to get you going with the first 4 months. Okay? Here we go. So remember, this is just a quick overview. If you want more information, go to our website. Phase 1. Phase 1 is what a lot of people call the station rotation model, where students rotate from one studio to the next with a timer. There's definitely a timer that moves everybody. Teachers love phase 1. The reason why they love phase 1 so much is because it's got that control. Everybody's going to start and stop at the same time. The students are going to move from the small group, remember the small group, independent practice, digital content, and future ready in one class period. That's key, one class period. We call this phase 1 the training wheels. We want the students to actually understand how to work on their own. How do I get to that independent practice? Where do I turn it in? How do I go to that digital content? How do I get a mini project done within that short amount of time? So again, this timer is key because we're giving the kids that sense of urgency, how to actually monitor and keep track of that time. Training wheels, phase 1. September is phase 1. We will live in the phase 1 learning environment. And as you go through our videos, you're going to see that I have a deployment plan that will break it down even further. Phase 2. I call this my magic sauce. The reason why phase 2 is my magic sauce is because now we are going to get rid of the timer, kind of, and I say that very cautiously. There's still a timer. We still need the kids to understand that they need to get stuff done, but we're going to give them now a checklist. And it's going to be at least a 2-day checklist where they're going to have different activities that they need to complete within this one checklist. So those are my 4 studios. When the students get it done, they mark it off. And they get to pick and choose what they want to do first, second, and third. You guys, this is where pace, place, and path come into play. Because they get to pick where they want to work, who they want to work with, and they get to decide first, second, and third. All of this is eventually going to be using that data piece. And that data is going to have differentiated groups. Whoa, differentiation happens in phase 2. A tip from educators. When they go through this process, 2 things is what they say. Number 1, trust the process. Understand that the training wheels are really important. Number 2, they wish they would have moved to phase 2 sooner. And I couldn't agree more. A lot of people are afraid to let go of this control. Remember that timer, moving them from one studio to the next? But when we get to phase 2, we actually give up that little bit of control, but we gain so much more. We're going to be able to use that data to differentiate. Students are going to have longer times to work on the studios. The behaviors go down and the engagement goes up. You guys, phase 2 is really powerful. Trust me on this. When do we do phase 2? We definitely want phase 2 to be kicked off in October. Then we're going to be doing data meetings, still part of phase 2, in November. And then what we're gonna really start to push towards is we're gonna really start to be working on that differentiation across the board in all of these aspects. So differentiating that small group, differentiating the independent practice, hopefully your digital content will be differentiated, and of course, giving student choice in those future ready activities. So all of these things are going to be a big part of phase 2. Go online, we have those resources. It's going to give you more information about phase 2. Let's go to 3. Phase 3 is your PBL and your personalized. Okay, so what's happening here in phase 2, we're telling the students what they need to complete. We're giving some choice, but in phase 3, the students create their own checklist. They're using the projects to kind of guide them along their way. This is unbelievable. If you go to our website, you're going to see that on our website, we have a picture of a truck, and that truck is going to be loaded with all the resources. That's what it's about. It's like the kids are going to be able to take ownership and get that empowerment to learn more on their own. So phase 3, PBL personalized. And that usually happens in the spring. So after testing, before testing, is usually when we get to that aspect. The 3 phases of blended learning. This is just a quick overview. Please go look at those videos. There's more resources out there. If you have any questions or would like more information about how to get started with the 3 phases of blended learning, make sure you contact me, Marcia at blendedlearningpd.com. Thanks guys, good luck. I know you can do this. Talk to you soon.